We're going to go ahead and get started since it's Thursday of week 2, and we want to keep ourselves on track at least until week 5, right? So my name is Marcia Hennish. I work in the Office of Global Engagement. My role in the office is supporting international travelers. So I hope that you at least know about me in case there are ever any issues while you're abroad. But we are delighted to have Afrodita Krasniqi here with us today from IIE to talk about some fellowship opportunities for faculty and staff. And there is a sign-up sheet here. I'm just going to send one around, so if you didn't sign in when you arrived, if you can just put your name on it. If you already signed in, you don't need to sign in again. But I'll turn it over to Afrodita.
Thank you so much. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for your kind introduction and welcome. It's such a pleasure to come back here at Drexel University. I was here around the same time last year. It was colder, and it's so nice to be back in such a spring-like weather. So Happy New Year to you too. I know it feels like already it was like 2 weeks ago, but nice to see such a great turnout. So except for signing in, I don't know if you had a chance to take my card. If you want to take my card, you can take them here, and I would be happy to stay in touch with you. So thank you again for your interest in the Fulbright US Scholar Program. So I work as Outreach and Recruitment Officer in the Fulbright US Scholar Program, and I oversee opportunities in Europe and Eurasia, which is like the largest region in the Fulbright US Scholar Program. But today I'm going to talk about what it takes to become a successful Fulbright applicant. So I'm going to share with you some tips, advice, and in the meantime you can, of course, raise any questions if you want. And usually I try to cover everything, so I can take the questions at the end. But feel free to interrupt me. So this is supposed to be like an interactive session. So I know we have also like someone taking a video, so this is going to be on your website, I believe. So you can go back to this and refer to the recording later on if you think you need a refresher. So thanks again. Before we talk about the Fulbright US Scholar Program and how important it is for you to think about the mission of the Fulbright program, because that's part of the Fulbright application. So the mission of the Fulbright is, first of all, it is to promote and foster mutual understanding between the US and other countries. So the Fulbright program overall works with 160 other countries. So United States works with 160 other countries in this bilateral program that was established in 1946 by Congress, and it is supported and funded by the State Department. So these are all some of the names of the stakeholders that are involved in the Fulbright program and supporting the Fulbright program. So it is funded by State Department, by the US government, so basically it's taxpayers' money. And it is considered one of the most prestigious and one of the most competitive programs, exchange programs in the world. So the idea of the Fulbright is to create long-lasting relationships between the US and these other countries. So think about this as you craft your application. So besides your academic work, besides your teaching and research, what is it something you want to do that you want to connect with this hosting country or countries, if you're applying to multiple countries, something that makes you stand out and makes you a great cultural ambassador. So this is a very important point to keep in mind as you start crafting the application. So how do you do that? You think about, you have to have a passion for that country. Maybe you have a connection with that country, or maybe they offer something to you that no other country offers. So it is really a country-specific opportunity, except for some other opportunities like that we have to work with multiple countries. It is funded by State Department. However, we administer the program, Institute of International Education, the organization that I work for. We administer the program here in the United States. So I've been working for IIE, or the Institute of International Education, which is the oldest organization in the world. We just celebrated last year the centennial, that works on international education programs. Whereas the program, the Fulbright program, is managed overseas by either Fulbright commissions, which are organizations, bilateral organizations that sign memorandum of understanding, and they manage the program on the ground. Usually, these are more developed countries that also fund the program. So 40% of the overall Fulbright funding comes from foreign governments. It's not just the US government that funds it. So if you apply to a more developed country, you know, like Western Europe or some other countries around the world that are more developed, usually the program is managed by Fulbright Commission. So you would need to eventually work with them if you're selected. Most of the countries around the world manage the program through US embassies. These are diplomatic missions that are US government representations abroad. So I worked for the US Embassy in Kosovo for 17 years prior to joining IIE. So I have worked directly on the Fulbright program there. So I've seen both sides of the Fulbright program. So now I see what it takes to become a successful Fulbrighter. But when I was working at the embassy, I saw the direct impact that the US scholars, the Fulbrighters that came from the United States, did on a small country, on a developing country like Kosovo. So you really can make a great impact. So think about that, like what is the impact that you will have in this country, in this field, in your discipline that you're applying to. First and foremost, Fulbright always strives to have diversity and inclusion as part of their goal. They're trying to represent diversity of the United States abroad. So if you're coming from an underrepresented institution in the United States that doesn't send many scholars, or if you are, like for example, a woman in STEM, or if you're coming from a minority group, etc. So they're always trying to, whenever they have two strong candidates, they're always trying to diversify the pool of applicants. So think about that, as another element that could help you stand out in the pool of applicants. And just to see how big the Fulbright program has evolved since 1946. Up to date, we have had around 390,000 Fulbrighters attend the program since 1946. So that's a great network of people that are represented in various programs. So annually, the Fulbright program funds over 8,000 participants. So the majority are in the Fulbright student program, whether it's the US students sending American students abroad or hosting international student Fulbrighters here. And then we send about 800 Fulbright US scholars. So the program that we're going to talk about today sends 800 participants a year. And we offer somewhere close to 500 awards opportunities, because some countries might offer like an award that would send 2 or 3 or more people. So at the end of the year, we will send 800 people. These include the faculty, these would include independent professionals, scholars, administrators. And then we host here in the United States around 900 visiting scholars. So this is, again, it's a two-way street. We send scholars, American scholars abroad, but we also like to host international Fulbrighters. And then there is a special program for the Fulbright language teaching assistants. So think about this as administrators. If you want to host these teaching assistants. If you, for example, have a need to have a teaching assistant of a special language that is not well represented in your university, then you can always consider hosting one. So yeah, that's Fulbright in numbers. It's a great program. It's a large program as well. How are the awards distributed? Basically, we do have opportunities for teaching, for research, for seminars, and then we do have opportunities for postdocs. So basically, the majority of the opportunity of these awards that are represented in our catalog of awards, 38% are opportunities to do combined teaching and research. So you can see that research is like the second opportunity, 28%, and then teaching is somewhere in the middle. We do offer these short-term seminars for administrators, and then postdoc opportunities are like 8%. What it takes to become a Fulbright scholar. First of all, it is important to take note of the eligibility. You have to be a U.S. citizen in order to be eligible for a scholar. Because remember, this is a binational, bilateral program, and you are representing the United States, so that's why it is important that you have lived here in the United States long enough to become a U.S. citizen in order to represent your country overseas. Degree and experience, so it depends. We do have all these awards, so many awards offer opportunities for applicants who do not have PhD, and then we do have like awards that are strictly requiring PhD, so you want to pay close attention to the requirements of the degree. They do welcome applicants more and more that are independent professionals, artists. So if you know someone who is interested to do some research and who is an artist or a journalist or a creative writer and who is not an academic, they are also welcome to apply. So please encourage them to apply. Some of the countries, some awards are very specific to the teaching experience requirement. So if they are specific about it, you want to follow that and make sure you meet that criteria. If you're not sure, you can always check with us or with the Fulbright Commission or with the host institution that you're proposing to do this collaboration with. Do we have any Fulbright alumni in the room? Do we have any prospective applicants or current applicants in the room? Okay, great. So anybody who's considering applying this year? Everybody?
That's why they're here.
Hopefully. Yeah, that's why. Okay, I'll ask at the end again. So basically, if you become a Fulbrighter, then you return from the program, you like it so much and you want to do it again, you just have to wait 2 years until you become eligible again. So this is a new policy. Before it used to be you had to wait 5 years from the time you completed your Fulbright to be eligible for another one. So we do have many returning Fulbrighters who apply again and again. I've seen cases up to 4 times, a Fulbrighter who went on a program 4 times. So it is possible, you just have to justify your case again and again. Yes, we have a question.
Yes, I'm sorry, if you apply and you don't get it, do you have to wait? Can you try again?
No, that's only if you're selected.
Okay.
So only if you're selected, you become a finalist and you go on the program, and then after you return, because this is a life-changing experience and people want to do it again, then you just have to wait 2 years. But if you apply, if you're not selected, then you can apply again next year, and we encourage you even to reapply. So, another question?
Yes, the question at the end, but I'm asking now, what's the rejection rate?
So, why all this negative thinking? It's nice weather. So, yeah, let's think positive, seriously. let's think about how you're gonna, listen to this presentation, you're gonna take notes, and you're gonna, like somebody did last year, and then she passed the first stage, and we have her here in the room. So it's an important thing. We do not share the specifics, the application numbers, because those could be misleading and just, ruin the day. So, but seriously, we do not share that. For the student program, I know we share that. Again, even for the students, we have the FPA here who could tell us more about it. That could be misleading. One year we have let's say, for example, 50 people apply to Jordan, and then next year nobody wants to apply to Jordan, or it's just misleading information that then we really want you to focus to do a strong, to put together a strong application and, make yourself a competitive applicant. So that's the important aspect. Yes?
I agree with you for positive attitude and stuff, but on the other side, I would like to evaluate, is it meaningful for me to spend my time on this? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
If rate only 5%, why do I do that? I know you want to share this specifics, but there's some information I would like to have for my evaluation.
Right, I understand. But the chances are, just like when you apply for another fellowship, if you put a lot of time and effort and follow instructions and, listen to so many of our webinars we offer online, a presentation like this, we do offer checklists on our website how to create a successful application, from A to Z. We have resources, we have alumni, which are a database, a public database of alumni that you can always reach out to. You can reach out to the host institution. You can reach out to us. We have a dedicated staff member for every award. And we do have emails listed for every award. I'm going to show you the website soon so you can see where to look for these resources. So if you start now, the earlier you start, the chances are that you will be more successful. So basically, spend half an hour a day starting now, trying to put together everything. It's a very competitive a fellowship, a scholarship, but again, it's doable. So, we've had 390,000 people that have gone on the program. So basically, if you make a strong case, the chances are that you will get the fellowship. So let's work on the elements, how to step by step to make a successful application. So first of all, you want to look for where you are in your yes.
I just want to follow up on that. So to maximize your efforts, sometimes it might be prudent to apply to 2 or 3, or is that not recommended?
You can apply to only one award, one country per application cycle, unless you're applying to the Global Scholar Award, which offers you opportunity to apply to minimum 2 world regions or maximum 3 world regions. But that is a very competitive award because many people find that more appealing to go to 3 different world regions, and we usually want to encourage applicants to work with one country because that's how you can build strong relationships with one country rather than working with 2 or 3 other countries. So again, this is a public diplomacy program. This is citizen to citizen diplomacy, so the chances are higher if you work with one country that you are going to achieve Fulbright's mission goal, which is to build a strong relationship between you and this hosting country. So you want to pay close attention to where you are in your career. So if you are a mid-career, or if you're in the early career stages or more senior level of scholar, we do offer those opportunities. So this is first where you will have to look for these awards. Are they looking for early career or more senior level of scholars, or they're open to any? So we do have those specified for every award. And then we do offer the flex option, which is an opportunity for you to do multiple visits throughout the span of 2 years. So you can go back and forth in the country as long as you stay 1 month in the country, and then you can complete your Fulbright within the span of 2 years. So let's say you cannot take leave of absence or you cannot take a sabbatical, then you can check for some of the countries offer this flex option. So also, how do you select the right award then? First of all, like I mentioned earlier, you have to have a passion for this country or maybe some experience, some interaction already. First you want to look for the expertise they're looking for. And then what kind of experience they're looking for? Are they focus more on the teaching or research? If you do have regional knowledge and if you speak the language, that helps you become a great cultural ambassador because you are culturally sensitive to that country. If you don't speak the language, it's okay because it's not required for most of these awards. But if you don't speak the language, I would strongly encourage you to start like some kind of, beginner level of that language so that it helps you at least for starting conversations in the host country. And that's also a commitment that you really want to learn more about this country. So they really want to see in your application that you put some effort into learning more about this country. Some awards offer discipline preferences. I always recommend applicants to look for those. Like if your discipline is represented and they're given priority to those applicants within that discipline, go for that discipline. But then if you can't find your discipline in that country, in many cases they offer open-ended awards. So these awards would welcome applicants in any discipline. And usually these are more competitive awards. However, you always want to look for, something special that will make you stand out. Then the other thing that will make you stand out is how important is this topic discipline in this hosting country, and where are they in their research level, and what is it something special you're bringing to that research if you're applying for research. If you're applying for teaching, then again, you always want to do some, homework and learn more about their teaching methodology or the curriculum they're using in your discipline that you're proposing to teach. And then if you're doing, both, you can check for both. How are they going to benefit, from this teaching or research that you're proposing to do? That's what makes a great a strong application when you can justify why do you need to go to that country, because there's so many countries that offer the Fulbright program. If your project can relate to any country, then it's not specific, it doesn't stand out. So you want to make a case to why that country, maybe they have these labs that no other country has, or these research centers, or something special that is related to that country. And then think about serving as cultural ambassador. You're expected to also work with communities outside the academia. So think about some NGOs that are working on this topic, or where you can do additional work and you can engage with other communities except for academia. So that, that shows a great cultural ambassador, especially when they want to do more work outside some research center, outside some labs. So they want you to go out there and speak about your professional experience, but also speak about the American values. So many people, have seen or heard about the American academics or about the American academia only through the movies or films, so this is a great opportunity for you to make that personal connections, and that's a great application. So now I would like to show you the website and how to understand these awards, because I know we have a dense website and there is a lot of information, but first of all, this is where we stand now. We're going to launch the new application cycle for the academic year 21-22 on February 3rd. So the website here contains information about last year's cycle still. But in 2 weeks, we're going to launch with the new information and with new and updated opportunities for academic year 2021-22. So what I'm going to show you on our website, which is cis.org, is information from the past cycle. We just completed that. This is pertaining information for 2021. So you go to CIS, and you see we have these 4 different tabs that you will use during your application cycle. The first one is apply for IEA seminars. So once we launch the new application cycle, we will have information about the Fulbright US Scholar Program. It will be the first tab. So for now, I want to show you the catalog of awards and how to look for important information. You can filter the catalog of awards by region, by country, by discipline. So I'm going to go to all awards, and you can again filter them here. We do offer 478 awards. So these are 120 countries offer these many awards in 5 world regions. So you can, they're alphabetically listed, but you can filter them by region. You can filter them by country. You can just put your country. You can filter them by multi-country, discipline, activity, grant length, degree requirement, category, which is whether you are a distinguished chair, so like a more senior level of scholar, or a postdoc applicant, and then
Does the grant length allow you to look by the flex schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Look at that.
Yeah, so you can select them like according to the time that is more convenient for you, but also to see if they offer flex. And then professional profile. Some awards are open to academics only, and then we do have opportunities for academics and professionals, and then there are special opportunities for administrators. And then you can look for these awards that offer the invitation letter, that require the invitation letter, or it's preferred, optional, and should not be sought. So the letter of invitation, I'm going to cover that later. It's also an important aspect of the application. So basically, we can just, check, for example, the first award here, or if you have any specific interest, anyone, so we can look for that particular award in that country. Yes?
India?
India. Okay, I know that's a popular country. So they do offer 19 awards in India. So you can just filter it here and put the name here like I did, and then it will come up. What is the discipline?
Nursing.
Nursing. Okay, so we can see if it's here in the drop-down menu. So it's more like it should be, yeah, it is here listed. So they do not offer specific award in nursing. However, they do offer these awards in all disciplines. So your discipline is not represented like as a special award, but they do offer Fulbright Nehru Distinguished Chair and then Fulbright Nehru Academic and Professional Excellence Awards. So Distinguished Chair awards are usually requiring for the applicants to have 10 years, at least 10 years of teaching and research experience. So you can look for what are the requirements. So basically, the grant activity is laid out here, what they want you to do: work with faculty members at host institutions on program development and curriculum design. And then more information is there. The grant length is 4 months. So make sure when you propose your project is according to the requirement of the award. So you cannot have a 6-month project that allows you to do only 4 months. So everything has to match the requirements. And even more so, the grant dates are specified here. When does this project have to take place? And the location. So you pay close attention to what institution you can affiliate with here. Flex option is not offered, unfortunately, but they're welcoming applications in all disciplines. So again, there is a great possibility for you there. More information, the deadline is going to be this year, September 15, 2020. So, but since this is pertaining last year's information, it says closed, but as soon as we launch, this is going to have the deadline. And they want you to do either teaching or combination of teaching and research. The degree is PhD is required. It's a Distinguished Chair Award, and we do have a program staff, my colleague that works with applicants directly, her name, contact information, email, you can reach out to with any questions.
Can you talk about the timeline? You already said that the application deadline is September 15th. Then what is the sequence?
That's coming, so I'm gonna talk about that in a minute now. So the letter of invitation is optional. You don't need to get a letter of invitation for this particular award. However, even if when it's optional, it's good to get a letter of invitation because that shows the endorsement from your host institution. So remember, this is a bilateral program. They want to know when they review these applications if the hosting country supports you in what you're proposing to do. And then additional information about the letter of invitation, applicant profile, academics only, additional information, like you can find a lot of information here, some resources. The third tab here is the stipend. So you will find information about what are some of the benefits that you will get if you are selected. So sometimes it's approximate, sometimes it's exact, but this will give you an idea if you're selected how much funding you will get. Because remember, this is a fully funded program, so you would be getting, some countries are more generous than others, so you want to look at the fundings on these on the third tab. Other information about the country is listed here. You want to read everything carefully. Then we do have this feature here, see application guidelines. You click on this, it's going to take you to the application checklist and everything you need to know, like the online application is listed here. Then instructions, there is a PDF format and you just print this format or save it on your desktop and it has information and you will just follow step by step what to do as part of the application. We do have samples of project statements of previous successful Fulbrighters who provided us with these samples. But most important questions you want to raise and you want to address in your project statement is, what do you propose to do? How are you going to do this? What are some of the methods and why is this so important? And basically the impact, the long-term impact. How is your host institution benefiting in this foreign country, but also your home institution upon returning here? For example, you want to check what are the statistics, how many American or how many academics from your institution went to this country. So maybe there is not a lot of dialogue going on with this country, so you can make a case there. And you will find that information from maybe the study abroad office or international office here. So you always can make a case to why do you need to go to this country. Yes?
I just looked at a list of the country I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have specifically, let's say, what I would like to do or what I can't do. However, my question is, can a academic institution, let's say a university, request, can we partner, let's say, with an academic institution and say, we would love for you to come here to do X, which is not necessarily in the menu, but could be wedged in, let's say, do leadership development for our faculty or something like that, which is not clear there. And then that's why I'm asking, do they apply to their local Fulbright for an expert or whichever way, whatever category? How does that work? If there is a mutual interest, or somebody, let's say, mind going somewhere and spending time, and they would like that funded by Fulbright, but it's not specifically the menu.
So it's like the discipline is not represented, or it's the...
Well, yeah, I mean...
Or the institution is not listed, or... So basically,
Yeah,
we're developing new partnerships. This is what Fulbright does every year. You know, it evolves, it develops new partnership, but there is like a protocol for that. If the, for example, if the host institution that you want to affiliate with is not listed on the menu and they are strict about you can affiliate with these 5 institutions, the institution you want to suggest to work with is not there. Is that the question?
Correct.
Then they would need to, in many cases, I mean, this is the protocol, they reach out to the Fulbright Commission, depending if the program is managed on the ground by Fulbright Commission or the US Embassy, and then they would add this partnership on the list of institutions. But in rare cases, it would be that strict. You know, they would say, we recommend you to work with these institutions. You know, they would list 5, but then you're open to affiliate maybe with some others. But pay close attention. The institutions have to be locally accredited institutions of higher education. They cannot be international organizations. They cannot be UN. They cannot be American universities, with few exceptions in some countries. Yeah, I mean, it depends again. So what country is it? So I can look into this.
Chile.
Okay.
I was looking at a Fulbright specialist program.
Oh, that's different.
That's different.
Yeah, that's a different program. So the Fulbright specialist program, basically how they operate is different from the scholar. So you apply to that program, you become part of their roster, and then they would reach out to the host institution and see if they're interested in hosting you. And then usually you are on the roster for 2 or 3 years or 5 years, 5 years, I think. And then they would invite you within those 5 years sometimes to host you. But
Even if
that's
they're
like,
not listed. Even if they're not listed, or they can try.
yeah, they can try always to. There is always a possible way for you to go as part of the specialist. So specialist is a different program. It's managed by a different organization. It's called World Learning. And you can apply to both specialist and scholar at the same time. So it's, you know, it doesn't limit you. However, if you're selected for the specialist, then you just need to let us know because we need to plan. It cannot be within the same academic year. So if you're doing scholar and specialist, they have to be in separate, different academic years.
So not to suck up too much air from the room. I did this like 15 years ago. I applied and I was granted a specialist status. The university I was going to go dropped the ball for a variety of reasons, so nothing happened. So now I'm looking at it more or less same thing, to go develop curriculum for a university.
Yeah, no, that
So
you.
they could apply. I mean, that was essentially.
Yeah, they could. You could do that, or apply for a scholar, which, you know, Chile has all these awards. But the difference with the specialist and the scholar, specialist is a more short term. It's up to 5 weeks. Scholar you can do longer. You can do from 3 months to 9 months.
All right.
So that's the other difference too. Okay, back to the project statement, which is the core of your application. Is basically, it's 3 to 5 pages long document where you explain and provide rationale to why do you need a Fulbright, why you know, and why this country, and what is the long-term benefit. So basically, you want to look for some project statement samples we have on our website. and just kind of get an inspiration from previous Fulbrighters. And then we do have specific requirements if you're applying for teaching, what to input, and then for research, and then for both combined. So pay close attention to these, instructions. Yes, we have a question.
Yes, I think sort of underlying theme in your remarks is it's more for developing countries than developed. And I'm just curious because one country that interests me right now is the UK and Brexit, where I think there's going to be a ton of things to learn or to teach. So if you were looking, so there's not much of a cultural exchange there between the UK and the US. Does that, I guess the straight out question, is there a bias toward develop your project as a developing country? Is that carry more weight in it?
Not necessarily. I mean, UK is, in Europe at least, is the largest country in the Fulbright program. They offer close to 33 awards. So, no, I mean, it's, if your project is specific to the UK, then you apply to the UK, and then you just want to, like, address these points that we just discussed. Why UK? Why do you need to do this research? But there is no bias for any country. It's just that, in general, there is a tendency that the applicants apply to more developed countries, especially the English-speaking countries, because, first of all, there is no challenge there. The language is similar or same. And then the other thing is, like, you're used to the commodity of living in the US, so that you won't have challenges like, for example, in a less developed country where you might not have running water or electricity 24 hours. So you want to look at those also conditions in the country before you decide to apply, whether you can adjust to those. However, there is no bias. All the applicants are evaluated for quality and for the impact, that we just discussed earlier. Okay, so let's continue with other elements in the application. Basically, your resume has to be tailored. We do have specific requirements for that. And then recommendation letters, there are 3 recommendation letters that are required. Usually, if you're applying for teaching, one has to come from your home institution, from the dean or vice dean, just to attest of your teaching ability. The second recommendation letter can come from a Fulbright alum, if you know of one. And the third one, ideally, should come from an international collaborator, like someone you've worked on a project before that is an international scholar, just to see how well you work with other cultures, with other people, because that is what they're looking for also for a successful Fulbrighter, to work well with other cultures and other people. And then if you're applying in one of these disciplines listed here, they want to see the portfolio, basically samples of your work. So we do have specific requirements for that. So these are like all the elements on your application. Now going back to our presentation, so we just discussed this, and affiliations and invitations. Again, we do provide information for most of the awards where you can find the potential host institution. In many cases, if it's an open-ended award, they will say you can affiliate with any institution of higher education as long as it is accredited in the country. And then in many awards, and we're working with all the countries right now to try to include resources for every award, because that's going to help you. And I would recommend you look for those resources listed on the awards to try to find a host institution. If there is no way you can find a host institution on the resources we're providing you, you can always reach out to us, and we work closely with commissions and the embassies abroad to help and facilitate this communication between you and the host institution. Or you can check your study abroad office. Maybe you're hosting a scholar from that country or a student. And then you can connect with them and see, get their feedback. And just, you know, also another good resource is check the U.S. Embassy websites. Because again, remember, this is a program funded by the U.S. government. And you will see what are some of the priorities of the U.S. government in this hosting country. And that's where you can learn more, because these websites that embassies provide, they're up-to-date information, first of all, to inform all the Americans that want to visit this country as tourists, but also in an official capacity. They will have information about the education system in the country, political developments, and security. And yeah, some other resources listed here. We do have the Fulbright Scholar Directory, which is listed on our website, and it is here in one of the tabs when you go home on our website. So you can just click this and it will take you home. The Scholar Directory, basically you can filter alumni. For example, let's see, home institution, Drexel. And we can always check for those non-visiting. See if you're hosting any. First, you want to look for the alumni within your community. And this is the list of the alumni, the U.S. scholars that participated from the Drexel University. So it's quite a long list compared to some other schools, but you want to just reach out to them and schedule a meeting and talk to them about your Fulbright application, because that's a great resource. Even if they're not within your discipline, you want to talk to them. Okay, the other information that is useful in your application, we just covered this about the suggested hosts and resources. So what are the letters of invitation again? This is not like a contract. If you receive a letter of invitation from a hosting country, it doesn't mean that, you know, it's 100% secured that you will get a Fulbright, because remember, there are like other applicants who are applying and who potentially could reach out to this host institution for a letter of invitation. But in order for you to get like an ideal letter of invitation or a strong letter of invitation, you want to be proactive. When reaching out to the host, you just give them like a blurb, a summary of your project, and see what is their feedback, what is their input, and make sure to tell them to include this in the letter of invitation. It's important that you get a strong endorsement from the host. Yeah, so it should be on their letterhead, and it should be signed by someone who has the authority to invite you. So you can reach out to your collaborator and say, please send me a letter of invitation, but as long as they inform their head of the department, because in many cases they will be providing you with office space, internet connection, etc., resources, access to library, etc. So you want to make sure that the highest authority within that department has knowledge about that they are inviting you. So now going back to the timeline, as you had a question earlier about the application cycle. Basically, we open now in February. We're so excited. We're working with all 120 countries right now to make sure that the awards are clear, they do provide resources, and they have all the information you need. But again, if you don't find that information, contact us. Once we launch, then throughout the application cycle, you can always, again, reach out to us with any questions. We do recommend that you sign up to our network. It's called My Fulbright. And then you will be receiving periodic messages about the upcoming webinars we're hosting, about tips and suggestions as you proceed with your application. The deadline is going to be September 15, and it's after you submit your application, then we are going to conduct a. Yes.
I need to reset the AV system for the floor. You're going to notice a 30 to 45-second outage on your screen, but I'll be right back after that. Okay, just wanted to let you know. Sorry to interrupt. I'll be right back.
No problem. So yeah, we should finish soon. So after you submit the application after September 15, we do a technical review of the application. So we give you another chance. Let's say you're missing a letter of invitation, a letter of recommendation, or any component that is crucial for your application, we give you an extra week. But don't let us do that. So try to have everything by September 15, because we work with every applicant. We read all the applications only for technical completeness, not for the quality. That's the first step. So I don't think many other competitions allow this. Even for the student, they don't allow this for the Fulbright student. It's only for the scholar. After, let's say, your application is complete and technically, and so we don't have an image, but basically from October to November, there will be a US peer review. Basically, these are alumni of the Fulbright program that will get together and review your application. They are discipline committees, so they will be within similar or exact same discipline as you applied to, and that's the first review stage. If you pass that first review stage, then we'll let you know somewhere by mid-December if you pass it or not. We'll send you a letter. And so those who pass the first stage, and we have someone in the room who did that, so then there is this time where you need sit and wait until from January till April, where the hosting countries, whether it's a Fulbright Commission or the US Embassy who reviews it, depends on the dynamics of the country, but you should hear no later than April 1st of next year for 21-22 cycle if you're selected or not finally. And then if you are selected, hopefully, then you will sign a grant with the Fulbright program, and it's a direct grant, so it's not between the institution, your home institution, it's the grant with you. And then all the other information will follow. So this is the timeline. I know it's a long time, but still it's doable. You just have to kind of follow step-by-step instructions and work with us. Do not hesitate, please, I encourage you to work with us, who work on the program. We can give you tips. You can do like a cold calling with the host institution in the country. You can send them an email. You work, with the Fulbright Commission, reach out to them, or US Embassy. Try to, just get to know all the people involved in the process, because everybody has an input in your application and will be involved in the application process.
Is the start date, once you've been accepted, flexible, or is it does it start like in the academic year? Are we talking about
So it depends. Every country has different start dates. For example, for Europe, the academic year, in many countries it would start in September, or some other countries in October, or it depends what you put in your application. That's why it's important you work with the host institution throughout your application and decide on the best timing that would work for you and for them. But also if that is allowed within the parameters of the award. Sometimes it's specified. They say you can do this only between this time, or sometimes they would say either spring semester, or either fall semester or spring semester. So follow, the guidelines, because every country is different. But then if something happens in the meantime, because this is a long time, it's like 1 year and a half, from now until the time this is decided, it's 1 year and a half time. something could happen, then they're flexible. As long as the host institution is okay with any change in the dates, that's fine with the Fulbright program. So,
So the minimum time that you can apply for is 3 months? Is that?
well, it depends again on the country. Some country would have it specified, some would say 1 semester. Then you need to find out what is usually it's 4 months, 1 semester is 4 to 5 months.
I see.
But the minimum is, what we have in the scholar program is 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah, the minimum, but every country has different requirements.
Right.
But overall, the minimum, I know there is a
Right,
2
that's what I
months.
was thinking, is the overall, so you could actually propose to do a project that would be about 2 months long.
If the country allows
If
it.
the country allows.
If they say,
Look at the specifications of the country.
exactly, every country, every award has different specifics.
Right.
Like UK has so many awards, like 30 awards, and then they would have different timeline for every award.
I see.
You want to look for that, the specifics of that award, and then try to build your project around those dates. Yeah, but there are no flexibility. If they say 3 months and you want to do 2, you're not a strong candidate. You have to meet the requirements.
So first it is important to look at the time frame and then develop your plan.
Exactly, yeah. The time frame, the discipline represented there, and all the other components we just discussed.
You mentioned. Thank you.
Any other questions about the scholar before I talk about other opportunities?
Oh, okay. Is the grant award include, so for example, you want to start a program at another institution that requires specialized equipment. Is part of that funding to purchase that equipment?
Unfortunately, no, but it depends again. There's this stipend and allowances. Sometimes they would say book allowances or just like allowances related to the project. And if that is expensive, which I'm assuming some equipments are usually expensive, then you would need to work with the host institution to provide you that. So that's where the feasibility of the project is evaluated. If you need expensive equipment and you can't get it, then that project is not feasible. You want to first find out if they have that and if they can provide it. Don't count on the Fulbright resources funding to provide you with that. Because usually it's like a generous amount for allowances. Usually it's for book allowances that you would purchase books and then leave them, donate them to the host institution. You can't take those with you.
Is the travel covered?
Travel, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, everything is covered from travel, international travel. Then they're like, if you're staying for 1 year, usually it would be like you can return home for once between that time, or you can't, it's not funded. But then the specifics would come later on. But international travel for back and forth for one time is covered for sure. Then you have the stipends, you have the all the benefits that are listed there. Sometimes they would also fund your dependents. You can bring family. There is like a generous amount for bringing your family. Some countries would not support that. You just need to look for specifics. And then book allowances, like I mentioned earlier, and also health insurance for non-pre-existing conditions. But this is just like, so you need a health insurance while you're in the country.
So what is the exact website then?
Yes.
How do we get to the website exactly?
For the awards, for the Fulbright, for the scholar.
Fulbright website exactly.
So the website is the CIS.org. I don't know if you can see this.
Right. Thank you.
And then the other site that I would strongly recommend for you to just sign up now is My Fulbright. And then you would register your interest here. It's CIS2.org. And you become member of our network, and we send messages to applicants who have registered here. Like, for example, if you listed your country of preference, your discipline, or any other interest, then we will just send you messages tailored to that interest that you specified.
can I ask you, along those lines,
Yes.
let's say we apply, we register our interests, et cetera. Does the reverse occur? In other words, do you communicate with the Fulbright offices and say, we have Joe Blow's interested in XYZ? Is there anywhere where there is a need for this kind of person?
To bring them here, you mean?
No, no, no.
No, to send
The
them
reverse.
abroad.
Let's say I register that I'm interested in
Mhm.
whatever, creating curriculum in something or another. It's not listed anywhere. You say that, so would that, and like me, it would be another, I don't know, 100,000 people. Would that availability be made known to potential institutions outside? I realize it's a lot of.
Unless you apply to that specific award, they don't go and look for applicants, to try to match them. It's basically you are tailoring, you are developing the project, everything is on you. And then once you submit the application, then it's going to be evaluated, based on these interests that you provided, and the discipline review committee, let's say for education, is going to review your application to make sure that this is feasible and it's a quality application. So yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like you provided all this.
Do you do essentially matching?
No, but we will try to, for example, if that hosting country maybe would not work for you, you don't find what you want, maybe we can work with you, schedule a phone call advising if you're interested, and then try to find another country where they could, potentially host you. So sometimes we would send highlighted awards, and encourage applicants in your field in education to consider them. Because there are so many awards that are in countries that are overlooked. There's so many hidden gems around the world that, maybe you could contribute with your expertise, and they would want to host you. Yeah, like for example, my home country, Kosovo, they have a great award for higher education, and they could benefit from your expertise. It's like a project that you would work directly with the Minister of Education. So that's like high profile award, like one of the few rare awards that you would have such a central impact working with the central government. So things like that you want to consider, not just to focus on one. Maybe you have deep knowledge about one country. Why don't you consider another country? So that would be a professional development for you, but also this other country could benefit more from you than this other country where you already have established great relationships and you don't need a Fulbright because you already did your kind of own Fulbright there.
Thank you.
Yes.
To understand this, so if I registered my Fulbright, so not only we receive a message from you from time to time, but also maybe possible the manager of some program and also applicant from other countries contact you for working other.
No. If you register your interest to my Fulbright, only we who work on the promotion and outreach and recruitment of the Fulbright program will reach out to you. Like only we're like a staff of 7 people that work with applicants directly, and only we will have access to that, no other countries. But once you then register, once you submit your application, again, it's another portal where you need to register, and it's pretty intuitive application, online application. This is the second year where we're using Slate for this application. It's really great, it's pretty user-friendly, and you can just, we will have access to all the information that you provided. But once your application passes the first review stage, then it goes on to the hosting country. Then they will have access to your application, and they will review it for final recommendation and final decision. Yes?
Quick question. Is Cuba now off limits?
Yeah, I think still they're not offering the program there, so I can check because I don't work on that region, but I don't think there is a program in Cuba for the time being.
I know there used to be some programs through
Yeah, I
the
can check.
university before, but I don't think they have it now.
No. No, unfortunately not. Yeah, I know because they opened the diplomatic relationships for some time, but then they closed them again.
Maybe
Unfortunately.
there's change on the horizon. Maybe after the election. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes?
I saw you had a slide, other programs, were you going to talk about?
Yes. Yeah, I was just trying to see if there are any questions about the scholar or the application, and if this was helpful. I want to know if, you know, again, it's a complex process, but if you follow step-by-step instructions on our website, work with us, work with all these stakeholders that I mentioned, it's doable. You know, it's a little bit of an effort, but it's worth all that effort. You know, it's a life-changing opportunity. Whoever has done a Fulbright, you know, they really talk about how it has changed their life, their perspective on, you know, their academic experience and everything else. So even if you can, for example, bring your family, that's another level, because the whole family can have a Fulbright experience, you know, and Fulbright is like one of the most respected programs abroad too. So you will have access to these, you know, research labs or centers or universities that no other, you know, program offers. So again, we're here to help you with your application because we're aware that this is a complex process. So other programs, the International Education Administrator Seminars, so we do offer from 1 week to 2 weeks seminars, and these are open to education professionals who work mostly with the offices that support study abroad or higher education administrators. So we do offer them in these countries listed here, and we have different deadlines for every country. The ones that are still open for 2021 application cycle, we still have the application open for India, for Japan, Taiwan, and Russia. So if you're considering, you know, every country then has specific requirements. So you want to pay close attention. I think, hold on, I don't have them listed here. But again, if you work on you know, these programs, and you can learn about other countries' higher education systems, but also connect with administrators with those countries and maybe open doors to more future collaborations, or maybe hosting students from that country or sending American students there, etc.
So is that something you would recommend not for faculty to apply for? It's more for somebody who's an administrator?
Exactly, that's more for administrators, you know, who work.
Like my role is both.
Oh.
So would that not be something that I would, you know?
Yeah, you can pursue that because some, for example, Germany, I think they want to have, you know, people like you who work also, who have a dual role, and then yeah, definitely you can consider those. But then if you want to apply, you can only apply either to this administrator or scholar. You can't apply to both. Then we do have these other institutional opportunities for the Fulbright Scholar in Residence program. So let's say if you do not host many Fulbrighters coming from abroad, then you can consider this. So you would apply directly to us to host an international scholar here. So that raises the profile of the Fulbright within your institution as well. Then we do have the Fulbright Outreach Lecturing Fund for the current visiting Fulbrighters that are in the country. We do have also the database. You can invite them to teach or do workshops for 1 week at Drexel University. We do have a database of the current visiting scholars, and you can just apply for bringing them for short term. We provide funding and some other expenses. There is some additional funding that is required from your host institution, but again, we can work with you on trying to meet your needs. So it's a great opportunity again to raise the profile of the Fulbright program, especially the visiting Fulbrighters who probably, let's say you want to host someone you know from West Coast to come here, and they would have an experience, you know, a different experience of a different institution, and then you can organize also a short visit. The Fulbright Language Teaching Assistant Program, if you want to host these native speakers of a language that otherwise is not well represented within your institution, you can consider this. It's a great opportunity to raise awareness about this culture and this language of the students at Drexel University. So these are all the emails and links you can look for more information. So Fulbright program is it's a great program, it's a big program, it has evolved over these years. In terms of the scholar program, we do have the Arctic Initiative, and then it's a group project abroad program, specialist program we just discussed. The student program offers the amazing programs. If you have great students that are interested to post their BA studies or MA studies, do additional studies abroad, or just go there for an independent study research, they can consider the Fulbright US student program. So the FPA who was just here, she works with students directly. So we work with scholars directly, how she works with your students directly during their application cycle. And then for teachers, there are some other special programs listed here: Distinguished Award in Teaching Program, Group Projects Abroad, and then the Teachers for Global Classrooms. So they're like different organizations that manage different programs, and we manage like the largest Fulbright programs. And you can stay connected with us if you're on social media. Fulbright is very active. You can follow what the current Fulbrighters are doing on social media, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We do have all these active sites. So if you follow us, you'll see great images, great inspirations coming from the current or Fulbrighters or alumni. And also think about this: if you become a Fulbrighter, we want the world to know more about your experience. And this is where we use these platforms to share that experience with the world. And, you know, it's a great platform to kind of inform the audience and the taxpayers who also fund this program indirectly to see the direct impact that the Fulbright has. I mentioned earlier to join my Fulbright. You hopefully will. And then if you have any questions, you can email us with this general email is scholars@iie.org. You can have my card here. You can email me directly with any questions. And the website is a very useful resource. And again, if you have any other colleagues who expressed interest but couldn't come, you can refer them directly to us and we will reach out to them. Thank you again for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now or later.
So the kickoff for the next cycle will be February
3rd.
February, so everyone can mark their calendars for early February to spend some time searching for opportunities, you know?
But even now you can jumpstart your application by, you know, trying to find like a potential host institution, or even just connect with Fulbright alumni from Drexel University. That would be my first step. And try to see what do they say, what are some of their inside tips that they could share with you. And then, sorry?
How does one find the Fulbright alumni from
Drexel?
That was
It's in the
searching
scholar
that she
directory.
showed us.
Yeah, in the Scholar
Okay,
Directory,
okay, great.
so when you go to my, to home page, home, you see these 4 tabs here. The second is the awards catalog that I showed you, and then the third usually is the Fulbright Scholar Directory, and this is where you can filter them.
So go to the Fulbright Scholar Directory.
Yeah, it's called the Fulbright Scholar Directory.
Thank you.
If you signed up on the list here, I'm going to send you a follow-up message with all these resources, including the Fulbright Scholar Directory, so then you can just click on them.
Thank you.
And-
Okay, sign up somewhere. Ironically, we actually had a presentation yesterday, and one of the people who spoke was Daniel Portion, who's a faculty member here in the Low, who did Fulbright in Italy last fall, and really just talked very positively about his experience. He did teaching and research, and he brought his child along with him, so he had a stipend for his child to go to private school, an international school while he was there. And the other thing that he mentioned that was really great for his experience was for his class, he kind of used the Fulbright reach to get these amazing speakers to come. And because Fulbright is so well known, people were like, oh, sure. Well, people he never would have been able to access on his own were willing to come. So I think, it's one of the things that it is known in a lot of places as being a very prestigious program. So, you can also think about that aspect of it. But Dr. Korshin said he would be happy to speak with anyone. We did forewarn him that this session was taking place today, and you're welcome to, flood his inbox. The last name is Korschun. Is that right, Casey? Thank you. Yes.
So we have faculty here who've been scholars, but also faculty who've been specialists. Do you guys have both those sets of invitations? So I know Rob Field in our school, I'm in public health, has made a specialist. And I think for some of us, as we're weighing, whether to do both, which one to try, it'd be really great to have.
Are the specialists included in here, or no? It's just scholars?
It's handled by a different
Yes,
organization.
they
I
are.
understand.
They are included in the
So a
directory.
specialist would.
Yeah, you can click, you can filter them here with the scholar or the specialist, and then they will come up. But just to be mindful, we provide their names and contacts we do not provide. So for example,
Testing your resources.
you can find them within here at Drexel.
Oh, there you go.
By their names, obviously, but even for coming from other campuses, if you just put your email on Google, their names on Google, something will come up. So academics are the easiest to access, I find that. So you just have their name, their affiliation, and then their email will come up. But then you will find this is useful because you will find their project title here when you click on their name, the year they did the Fulbright, and the country, and all the other information, the host institution, and everything else. So yeah, feel free to reach out to them again. It's a great resource, but it's one of the resources. So you want to do more additional work, with the host institution and host country, and see what is their interest. And you can explore possibilities, maybe reach out to 2 different countries or 2 different institutions within that country, and see who responds more enthusiastically, who is more welcoming than the other, and then you just go with that country, because that's important to get their endorsement. Any other questions? Yes.
One more, I guess. Does the State Department, if you're going to a country that has a travel warning, is that, I would assume many of these countries might have moderate or modest travel warnings. Is that an issue?
No, if usually if there is a security concern, we definitely would not have a Fulbright there, in that country. But
If it's a 4, a do not travel
Right.
location,
But if it's
they're
a 2
not
or
going to
3,
be sent.
you customary.
usually they would provide that information, and then if it's do not travel, we don't send people there.
Right.
Because security, safety is the most
I
important
don't think
thing.
they would put it in the database.
No, no, but if you're looking at a country that, you know, has 2s and 3s, Fulbright doesn't say hands off, we won't go.
No, because if there is a Fulbright there, that means there is a bilateral relationship developed. There is an American personnel, there is an embassy there. If there is no such thing established, then there is no full, you know. But
So if it's
of
on
course,
the
things can develop in the meantime. There could be like tensions, there could be travel warnings, but usually if there is like no-go zone, it's not listed. We don't offer that. We don't, you know, security is very important. So, yeah, but that's like if things develop during the year, then we work with applicants directly to advise them. But, you know, we would have that information on time. Any other questions?
Very informative, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your attention.